Okay. So in your class, please try to join before, just within 5 minutes, the class starts, okay? Because otherwise it is very distracting. So you have found that there is a lot of students in the class. The problem is I have accepted your many of yours request. That came late because you requested. But the thing is, you only if you do not have the interest in this subject, then there is no point in taking the course, right? And if there are so many students, it is very difficult, and especially in online class, to have a very constructive kind of interaction. So I will try my best, and I will show you also today that what are the contents and what I am going to discuss in the course. But try to be interactive as much as possible, and also, since you have taken the course, so better if you can have, grow, if you can grow some kind of interest in the course. Otherwise, I also will not be feel very much motivated to take the class, right? So the name of the course is the Financial and Legal Aspects of Business. It is actually very difficult to frame this kind of course, because maybe I do not know how many of you have an idea about the scope of this financial and legal aspects of business, because it is huge. Financial aspects of business, it is a huge kind of things we can can be covered in this course. And then again, there's a legal aspect what is there in the course. So both financial and legal aspects, to cover this both the aspects of business, it is very difficult to accommodate both the things in one course. So I will try my best to do as much as possible. And the basic idea of the course is just to give you a basic understanding of many things so far as the financial and legal aspects are concerned. But don't expect that I can go very deep, because it is not at all possible. I will try to cover, so many things in this particular course, so that you can have, and if you, many of you already have studied finance courses or the basics or the foundation courses and many online courses also. So who did not do that kind of course, for them also I will try to give some kind of basic understanding, so that in future when you are going to, some of you maybe you will be interested in doing MBA or further studies, or going to some finance companies, joining some finance companies, going to some setting up your own startup. So that you can have a basic knowledge of what we mean by, and what are the different things we actually need to know when we do business, when we talk about business. Okay, what are the basic things? So that way I try to. And so far as the evaluation is concerned, so this time there is an instruction by higher authority also, and this is our experience also, that taking the test always, it is not very fruitful, right? And especially in this online kind of classes. If you go to any other universities, foreign universities or IIMs, you will find that postgraduate studies, if you do, you'll find that the class test that has the minimum weightage, and the more weightage is on the projects and case studies and assignments and presentations and participation and all. But in IIT system, most of you are undergraduate students, so it is not possible. So, but now in online mode of teaching, all of us are experimenting. We are also experimenting. You are also, and I know that you are the, you are suffering the most. you are missing many things. So it will be better for you also and for me also not to go for this traditional kind of test much. So I will try to evaluate, I mean, in different manners, time to time. That we will decide. But I mean, it will be good if you attend the class on a regular basis, because I also have not decided. I also do not know that how I'm going to do the evaluation for the course, right? But I will keep you informed. But be regular as much as possible. Okay. Um, so you can see the slides, right, all of you? Let me, there are a few other students waiting. Okay. So first let me discuss about the financial aspects. So as I told you that today I'm just going to introduce that what are the contents of my course. Fine. We have come across about the syllabus of the course from the from ERP, but I mean not exactly the same way, because it is not possible, and time to time it keeps changing. So um, just follow the contents that I am going to present now. So there are two parts: financial aspect and legal aspect. Let me first start with the financial aspect. Okay. So in financial aspect, just look at the first slide. So there are two parts. Again, one is mentioned as financial accounting. The other part is mentioned as managerial accounting. So this first slide talks about two types of accounting. So broadly, I'm going to cover these two things. One is financial accounting, one is managerial accounting. And how does these two concepts differ, that I'm going to tell you now. Just read the sentences under financial accounting. Financial accounting provides information primarily to people outside the company. And go to managerial accounting. It tells that it provides information to people inside the company. Okay, so this is the basic difference between financial accounting and managerial accounting. So when I am mentioning that people outside the company, so who are the people outside the company, but they are related to the business, somehow they are related to the business. So what they are called, anyone?
Stakeholders.
Stakeholders. So who are the stakeholders of the business?
Those
Creditors
who
and
hold the shares.
You just explain when you are telling something. So think that, I mean, many people do not understand those terms. Okay, since it is a basic course, so we are going to introduce and we are going to use different types of financial terms and jargons. So whenever you are telling something, you are explaining something, try to explain so that others also understand. Okay, so when you are saying that stakeholders, what does it mean? Why they are called stakeholders? Is there any difference between stakeholder and shareholder? Who
Ma'am,
was
share,
who was answering?
ma'am, Saurabh.
Saurabh. Okay, Saurabh, you just tell us.
Ma'am, shareholders own the company, while stakeholders are
So
indirectly or
what do you
directly
mean by
affected by
share?
the.
Why they're holding shares? What do you mean by share? And when we are saying stakeholders, what do we mean by stake? I mean,
Ma'am,
what are the
stakeholders are directly or indirectly affected by the company decisions of the company, while
okay.
shareholders own some parts of the company.
So why they're shareholders? What they're owning? The shares of the company, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so who are the stakeholders? Now tell us who are the stakeholders. So you have said that directly or indirectly related to the company, right? So
Yes,
who are
ma'am.
those?
Ma'am, some directly related are creditors and suppliers. Like creditors provide debt to the company, and
Hmm,
suppliers provide the raw materials and account receivable. So
hmm,
suppliers are directly, And we customers are indirectly related to the company. We somehow affect the company by our buying decisions and buying power. So we are also, and government and regulators are also stakeholders. They indirectly affect the company by their regulations and acts.
Okay, so true. So customers, suppliers, even employees of the company, they are also direct stakeholders, right?
Yes, ma'am.
The government, the community,
And
around,
society as a whole.
yeah, and also the capital providers, they are also the stakeholders. So stakeholder is a broader concept. Shareholder comes under the umbrella of stakeholders, right? So it is a subset of stakeholders. Stakeholders are everyone, but shareholders are only the owners who are owning, that means capital providers who are owning the company, the equity share holders. Okay, so these stakeholders do not have any control over the management of the company, or they do not have the control over what is going on inside the company. So they are the outsiders, outside stakeholders. Apart from the owners, apart from the controlling shareholders or the um, owners who are owners as well as the managers, as well as in the management of the business, the outside shareholders, the retail shareholders, like who just buy and sell shares, outside shareholders and other stakeholders, as told by Saurav. So all of them are outside stakeholders, outside the company, people outside the company. So they do not have any control over the management of the company and do not have the inside information of the company, right? So what exactly is going on inside the company, they do not know. So what they know, whatever information is provided to them by the company, that is only they know, they analyze, they understand, interpret, analyze, and take decisions. So if he's a supplier, whether to supply the company, if he's a customer, whether to buy from the company, if he's an employee, whether to stay with the company, if he is a shareholder, whether to invest in the company, if he's an investor, whether to invest in a company. So these are the decisions those outside shareholders they make based on the information provided by the company. So it is totally based on whatever information is provided to them by the company. So they do not have access of the inside information. Okay. So financial accounting provides that. So what are the modes of providing that information, that I am coming later. Then if this is financial accounting, that is information provided to the outside stakeholders. So what is managerial accounting? Managerial accounting provides information to people inside the company. So now think about the people who are inside the company. So who are the people inside the company? Anyone?
Managers and employees.
So management, employee, and who are the managers? Are they
They can
aren't
be.
they the employees of the company? You have said that managers and employees. So are the managers employees?
Executive managers can be the employees.
Okay, and who cannot be the employees?
Independent non-executive directors, board of directors, they cannot be the employer. Like board of executive chairman and board of directors can be the employer.
Are they employees?
Ma'am, no, not employed. They are somehow related to the
When
management.
you are saying that independent directors, are they employees of the company?
No, ma'am. Independent directors are not employees.
No. So who are the management means they're employees of the company always? Is it?
No, ma'am. Management includes executive and non-executive part.
Fine, but I am asking that you have mentioned about different stakeholders, right? So is the management always the employee of the company? So if they are not employee, who are they? They can be also the owners, okay? They can be the owners. So don't, I'm not going into those finer details about, executive, non-executive, board of directors. All of these we will talk in our, future classes, legal classes and all. But the thing is, the employees, the management can be of two types. One is the hired. There can be a hired CEO. There can be the owner himself can be a CEO, right? So there are very, many interesting consequences of, with if owner is the CEO, then how the company runs. If owner hires a CEO to run the company, then how the company runs, which model is better, why it is better, and what are the incentive of the manager if he is not the owner of the company, what are the risk of the company if both are different, what are the incentive if both are same, holding the same position, owner is holding both the position. So there are many lot of just hold on. So but just remember one thing, that the management can be an owner, the management can be an employee also. Okay, so they have the information which the outsiders do not have. So what are the information they have, and what is the use of that information? The information, whatever they have, they use it for performance evaluation. The outside shareholders, it is for their own purpose. As I say, that investors use the information for investment decision making. The employees, the customers, the suppliers, all of them use the information for their own objective. But for insiders to run the company properly, for growth of the company, for increasing the performance of the company, they need to evaluate, okay, where they stand, where they were earlier, and where they want to go. So for this purpose, they need information. So for performance evaluation, they use the information, and the next is the investment decisions. So one is short term, in a sense that what was the performance in the last year, what is the performance of the current year, and what performance I can expect in the future year. So what is my forecast about the company's performance? So this is a kind of short term, and it helps in short term decision making also, year to year, which vary. And for long term decision making also, they need the information, they process the information, they use the information. So those are called the investment decisions. So managerial accounting, whatever we will discuss under managerial accounting, that helps people inside the company. Okay, so now what we will learn under financial accounting, the different concepts, what conventions are followed. We will try to understand what is corporate annual report, what are the components of the annual reports, how it helps in decision making by the outside stakeholders. Then analyzing financial statements, which is very, very important. So what are the financial statements? As I said, just a minute, some more students are waiting. So financial statements means there are three basic financial statements. One is income statement, one is balance sheet, and one is cash flow statement. Okay, so three statements you need to learn. Now many of you already know what are the three statements, what these three statements actually, we can find in each statement, what is the importance, relevance of this statement in analyzing the financial performance of the company. So three things you need to understand. First, to learn that how to quantify the performance of the companies into numbers. How to convert the performance into numbers. Okay. To understand that those numbers, now to analyze the financial health of the company. So what the number signifies, that is very important. You need to learn, you know that the company is doing good, you know the company is doing bad. But many of you do not understand that how to interpret the numbers in the financial statements. That we will learn here. How to analyze the company so far as the numbers are concerned, from the numbers of the financial statement. So that we will learn here. The ratio analysis we will do. So how these numbers, with these numbers, we can make different kind of ratios and what those ratios signify. How we can interpret those ratios in a better manner, and how it is going to help. Is it getting disconnected?
Yes, ma'am.
So this ratio analysis we will do, and working capital management, another very important aspect, working capital. So who will tell me, I mean, what is working capital? What do we mean by working capital?
It is current asset minus current liability.
So what is current asset?
It is the ongoing capital so that company will survive in short term. It is called working capital.
What are the examples?
Like inventories, account receivables, payables.
Okay. So did you all understand what is working capital? So from the term itself, working capital means the capital which is required for day-to-day running of the business. It is working. I mean, always we need capital to run the day-to-day operations. So it is not that we are going to generate a huge amount of loan or huge amount of equity for our further investment. For day-to-day running of the business also we need capital, right? So what are the requirements? What are the requirements for the day-to-day operations? It is very simple. So anyone tell me, apart from Saurabh?
Cash. Day-to-day requirement, cash may be inventory, right?
Cash is the requirement, right?
Yes.
For purpose?
For making
What
day-to-day
comes under day-to-day operations?
like let's say salaries for the employees, or
Yes.
buying raw material for that day or
Yes.
something. So
So
cash
this
is
comes
required.
under the operations of the company. It is not a long-term investment that I'm putting the money to set up a new, factory,
Yes, new plant
or
or
to,
something.
build up some kind of infrastructure for my business and something. It is not that, right? To set up a new plant, not that. It is for the day-to-day operations. So that is called the working capital, which is very much essential, even more for the small business or new business, new ventures, working capital. So sometimes, we may run out of cash. So how to manage that? Because it is, you need to continuously, you need to grow, you need to invest. Along with that, you need to run also your day-to-day operations, you need to pay your employees. So how to manage? The cash comes in and the cash goes out also. So how to manage at the end of the day? So that working capital management is very important. So those are the concepts that we learn in this part. That is the accounting for the outside people. Next comes the management accounting, as I discussed. So management accounting, again, we will do in two parts. One is for the cost accounting. So what is cost accounting? Cost accounting, we do the cost accounting for the internal, as I said, that the performance evaluation and the taking the internal decisions. So what are the things? Cost accounting for decision making. It comes under management accounting, okay? So cost accounting for decision making, cost accounting for planning and control, to control the cost and to plan. So what are those? Cost accounting for decision making. So there is a break-even analysis, you know, I mean, all of you, I think, know what is break-even analysis. Cost, volume, profit analysis, if we increase the volume and how it is going to increase our cost and all this. So cost, volume, profit relationship. Then measurement of cost behavior. The same cost can behave in a different way. Okay, we will learn all these things, and the cost behavior wise, the situation changes. The cost management system. So how can we manage the cost in a better manner? In activity-based costing, we will learn. It is very interesting that just by changing the method of costing, how you can change the whole cost of your product or your project, and how it is going to impact your profit. Okay, the sales price remains the same, but how you can show that your cost is less or cost is more, just by presenting it in a different way. And then there are relevant costing. So to identify what are the relevant costing for a particular decision and what is irrelevant costing, you do not have the control over. Okay, so that helps in our pricing decisions, in operational decisions. It helps to understand whether you are going to make some product or you are going to outsource, so that you can have a better margin. Okay, so these are all for decision making, and for cost accounting for planning and control. So how we can control our cost and how we can plan that how much we should keep for incurring those amount of costs. Okay, so there is a concept of budget, how we can budget. There's a short-term budget, that monthly, how we can, what are the projections, what are the costs involved, how we can plan it. Another is the variance analysis. So what is supposed to be the cost and what is my actual cost. So if it is lower than the expected, then it is good. But if it is higher than the expected, then it is bad. It is unfavorable situation. So we need to check the variance and we need to control it accordingly. Then comes the product costing. How we can do the product costing. So accounting for the overhead cost. So if it is the cost for making the product, so there might be many overhead costs incurred, right? Overhead cost at the factory level, overhead cost at the the machine you are using it for number of units of product. So you cannot keep the entire cost of the machine in your in the product cost of one unit, right? So how to apportion it, how to account for the overhead cost, that comes under product costing. And job and process costing system. So what is the kind of product? It is a particular one unit of product, or it is the process itself has a lot of expenses involved. So what is the kind of product? How the product comes? Unit by unit, or it is batch by batch? How the product comes? Everything depends on the type of the product. So how do we do the product costing? And the next important thing is, it is all about the costing, the internal decision making, internal planning, control, everything. But these are the short run decisions. And then comes a very important decision, which is the long run decision. Long run decision means the investment decisions, the decision which we need to take to make our business grow. And for growth of the business, the day-to-day running is not sufficient, right? We need to think of a massive investment where a lot of amount is involved, lot of money is involved. So that is called the investment decision, and there you need to budget for your long-term capital. That is also called the capital budgeting. So this long-term decision or investment decision, capital budgeting, it is separate from our day-to-day operations or day-to-day costing. Okay. So these are all about the expenditure side, the cost and the investment decision. Now, once you know that this is the requirement of your business for the day-to-day running of the operations, for working capital, this is the requirement. You need this amount of cash. For investment, you need this amount of money. Now, the next question comes, where from you will get it? The financing decision. So, what we have discussed so far is the operating decision, then comes the investment decision. And now what I'm going to discuss, it is about the financing decision. Okay. So financing decision, there are two parts. One is, three parts actually. One is you need to first understand what is the requirement of finance. Is there a short-term requirement or it is a long-term requirement? Long-term requirement means when you are going to take the investment decision. Short-term requirement means your working capital requirement, your day-to-day operations requirement. Okay. So what is the amount required? Next comes, what are the sources of the finance? What are the sources of the finance you have? Okay, so we will learn that there can be two broad sources. Anyone who wants to tell me what are the two broad sources? What are the two sources of finance? When we talk about sources of finance, what are the two sources? Who's speaking? Equity and not only the name of the finance, just tell me one sentence about equity and debt. What does this two mean?
If we sell the ownership of the company, a share, so that's equity, raising money by equity. We give the ownership, some part of the ownership for in exchange of cash. And debt is when we don't give, we take a loan out of the market or somebody. So that's debt.
So what is the difference? So here you said that we are
giving the
selling
ownership
the
in
equity ownership
Yes.
of the company. So
Yes.
in case of debt,
we are
so
not
we are
selling
not
the
we are not
ownership.
selling the ownership, right?
Yes, right.
So what is why the debt providers will give us loan?
Because of
Ma'am,
they
they
get
give us
fixed
loan on
interest.
face of some mortgage.
They will charge
Majorly for
interest and
right?
Yes.
less risk.
So what they get interest.
Interest.
And
yes.
what the shareholders get?
They
get
take
ownership.
the risk, but they have a huge upside because if the company works out well, then their stake will increase a lot. Their equity will increase a lot. So that's the risk that they take for large payouts in the future. They will get dividends out of it if the company grows.
So, I mean, specifically the difference is equity holders, they enjoy the ownership of the business, and end of the day, what they get, the return on that investment, the value of their shares may increase, as well as they can get the dividends, right?
Yes.
But the debt holders, debt providers, what they they give the loans. They do not enjoy the ownership. What they get in return, they get the interest. Okay, and they also take the mortgage and all. But it is not that the company, if company fails to repay the loan back, okay, but the company, if they do not fail, if they give the loan back, then what they get is they get the interest. Okay, they do not enjoy the ownership. So that is the difference. So there are two broad sources. Under debt also, there can be a long-term debt. There can be short-term loans, which you need to repay in a very short time period. Okay, and those short-term loans, basically they are taken as working capital loan because they are used for the day-to-day running of the business. And the long-term loans, they are raised for the purpose of investment decision making. Okay. Now the equities also have different types of equities are there. Again, I want to know that who can share What are the sources of equity? What are the different sources of equity? What idea
Ma'am,
you
it can
have?
be
It
it
can
can be
be.
common shares or
Preferred
preference
shares or
shares
common
or
shares.
warrants
Okay.
and warrants.
Okay. What else? Can any of you name us about the different? I mean, what are the different types of equity holders? The names for your mature companies, for new ventures, for small business, for, I mean, just
Ma'am, angel investors or venture capitalists.
yes, yes.
Angel investors are those who initially first round of funding that they give, like the initial fund to start. Venture
Okay.
capitalists are like those who invest in the seed funding rounds.
Yes.
After there are some sales or some revenues, then they invest.
Mm.
And then common shareholders, after we are listed
Mm.
in the exchange like BSE NSE, then the people who are trading there are common shareholders. There are some preferred shareholders as well, like
Yes.
the owners or the initial investors, they might opt
Yes.
for being a preferred shareholders.
Mm. So this equity, I mean, there are different types of equity holders. Okay.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
there can be the private equity holders or the public shareholders. Under private, there can be, I mean, as you said, that angel investors, venture capital investors, and when the company goes public, then there can be the retail shareholders. Along with that, the owners themselves are also the equity holders. The founder themselves are also the equity holders. Okay, the capital provided by the owners. Then comes the your institutional investors, foreign institutional investors. So there can be FPIs, foreign portfolio investors, FDIs, who are the foreign direct investment. You may know who have the control over the business, the MNC kind of business. So there are lots of, the ownership structure is very complex, and there are lots of types of owners are there in a business. Who are the equity holders? Somebody has the shares, has the stake. So whoever is the equity shareholders, whatever may be the I mean amount of money invested, they have a stake in the business. Even if you are a shareholder of Reliance, so you have maybe a 0.00001% of stake, but you have the stake. You have the stake in the ownership of the business. But the shareholders who have the majority stake, they're the controlling shareholders. They, apart from holding the shares, they also take part in the management of the company. Okay, so equity and debt. Now you need to decide that, you know now what are the sources of finance that we will discuss, and then you need to decide what is the source of finance you are going to target for raising the amount of finance required. That already you have decided. So your amount of finance required, you have decided whether it is for long term investment, whether it is for short term day-to-day running of the business. Then what are the sources of finance you will know, and then you need to decide that where I will go. Okay, should I go for raising some loan? Should I go for raising equity? What will be my source? Or should I buy back my, should I go for that? I will come later, the buyback and all these things, those I will not discuss now. So what is the source of finance, where from I will raise the fund, that you need to decide. And why it is a very important decision? Because it is going to affect the capital structure of your business. Now what is the capital structure? It is the ratio of how much debt you have and how much equity you have in your business. And once you have decided to change in your capital structure, it has a lot of consequences in the business. So if you have more debt, your business becomes riskier. If you have more equity, you need to dilute your stake more. So you need to share your ownership more with the some other investors. So you have a, I mean, reduced amount of control and reduced say over your business. Okay, you are diluting your stake. So there are a lot of consequences when you are going for debt or equity. So it is a very important decision that how you are going to raise your funding for your meeting your finance requirement, that is going to affect your capital structure. And what is the long-term effect of that decision in your business? So these things are very important and interesting also. And the last thing comes is the valuation. So what is the valuation of your business, which is very, very complex, and it involves lot of assumption. In fact, the whole financing, though it talks about the numbers, but you will, whoever has not yet, gone through any of the finance courses, you will understand that there is no 2 plus 2 equal to 4 in finance. Maybe it talks about numbers only, but there are a lot of subjectivity, lot of discretion, and lot of assumptions are made in finance. Okay, based on that, for example, when you are doing some projections, when you are so simple, when you are recognizing some transaction as revenue, whether you are going to what is the amount you are going to consider as your revenue, that also depends on your many things. It depends on your own company policy. It depends on the standards, the guidance as instructed by the regulators. What you are exactly, at what point of time you are going to recognize your revenue. You are selling something, but when you are going to recognize your revenue, that is guided by the guidance note or the gaps or the standards that is prescribed by the regulatory boards, and also your own company policy. What expenses you will consider, that not always depend on, that is not a very, only a number. It is guided by many things. Okay, so those time to time we will discuss. Okay, so this is about the financial aspect. Regarding the legal aspects, there are, if I tell you about the law, so the law actually it is comprised of both the business law and other laws. Okay, so we will concentrate here on only the business laws, and under business law there are very important laws. So it itself it needs one semester, okay, to cover up all this kind of acts. But I'm keeping here very short and brief few laws which are very important. The business laws. First is Contract Act. In every kind of transaction, whatever transaction you make with any of your stakeholder, you need to make contract. So Contract Act is very important. It is most important. It is huge and it is important. Then Sale of Goods Act. Then Partnership Act. If you are going for a partnership firm, so what is a Partnership Act? And then LLP Act, which is a new term, comparatively new term. What do we mean by LLP? Then the very important Companies Act, which has been revised, amended, and a new company law has come up in 2013. So this Companies Act, it talks everything about how to set us, from setting up a company to run a company, what are the for a small company to growing company to a mature company, the public company, the private company, the governance of the company. Talks about many things which you need to know, which is very essential when you are studying any business related course. You need to understand those. Then the Consumer Protection Act, intellectual property law, because for today's technology ventures, it is very important to know about the intellectual property law to compete with your competitors. Then competition law, Negotiable Instruments Act, Information Technology Act, RTI Act, and the very recently that has come up, the GST. Okay, all of you know that the impact of GST. So these things, this is the overall structure of the course that I will try to cover, but I think I am also becoming very over optimist that I am going to cover so many things. I will try to cover as much as possible in the course, and maybe I can skip few of those, both the legal aspects and financial aspects. And as I told that it is a very basic thing. Let me show you something here. Then the grading, just the last slide I have. The grading, I have decided to keep only 30% in the exams. You have 3 tests, right? And the test timing also has been, the window for the test has been given to you already. But most of the things will be the participations, the quiz, assignments, projects and all. And I have already formed your groups. So I am going to share the group numbers today only. I have already formed the groups with, 10 students in one group. And whatever assignments or quiz or projects or whatever I will do, you need to present it as a group. Okay, because it is not possible with so many students to evaluate individually. But don't think that in a group only one or two students will take part and others will not take part and they will get the advantage of it. It is not the case. I will ask individually inside the group. Okay, so I will share with you the group members name and all, how the groups I have formed.
Ma'am, also could because there are many students who do not have the basics of finance, could you mention any sources for knowing the basics of finance from any?
Yeah, I have in my last slide, actually I have kept the name of the books and the authors. So I don't know that whether you can where you can get the books. Actually, all these books are there in the institute library. But here, these are the very good books. Okay, very, lucidly written books, and so, but I do not know that online whether you will get those or not. Those are the books I always refer. Okay.
Ma'am, what are the name of the books that you can follow?
Yes, please.
Ma'am, I was asking, have you uploaded any file which is the names of the books that
Yeah, it is here only. I'm going to share with you this slide, huh? This PPT I'm going to share with you. Just let me show, we have only 5 minutes left, so let me show you something.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, if you're sharing anything, I'm not able to see it, and I just wanted that
Just
last
wait.
slide.
I'm not finding the file. Just 1 minute. It is there, but when I'm using this thing, I'm not finding it. Let me see. Yeah, now it has come. It's taking time. Okay, can you see the can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the PDF actually it is taking time to upload. Can you now see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. We can
Yes,
see
ma'am. We
the
can see the
screen.
So
screen.
this is, I mean, just I will take just 2 minutes. Actually, I mean, I'm showing you because in the final project of this course, you need to study the annual reports of the company, and you need to make presentations by comparing the two companies' annual reports based on the financial statements and all other information. So gradually, I will do one example in the class itself for your understanding. But I mean, let me just show what we know by annual report. So I will suggest you all please take a look, because I mean you will feel really interested if you're interested in finance. So annual report, it is a I mean abridged form of the whole company's financials. I mean, not only financial, you can know about the company from the annual report of the company. It gets published at the end of the year. Now it is named as integrated report. So it gets published at the end of the year, the annual report, and it talks about everything about the company. Just the way you go to the websites of the company to know the information. Annual report is a short kind of brief about the company. Okay, so just I'm looking at the just look at the content, and you can download any company's annual report from website for your just to for the sake of interest. So what are there, you will find that uh, how you can analyze a company. Okay, so just look at the content. It talks about the performance snapshot, the financial year summary. So it gives you the summary of the company. It talks about the trend of the company, what is the performance trend of the company over the years. Now, where it has a section, particularly here, that it is Tata Steel's annual report. So it has the section about what is the Tata Steel, all about the Tata Steel, Tata Steel's management, Tata Steel's product portfolio, its geographical presence, its business model, okay, everything. Now the leadership, what is the directors, in the direct there you will find that is a mandatory directors report section in any kind of annual report. Okay, so in directors report also how the company, I mean performed over the year, those things you will get in the directors report. Then there you will find a chairman's message. So all these positions, director, board of director, chairman means the chairman of the board, then management, the CEO, the management director, everything is, I mean, different. The terms are very different. We will come to know about what do those terms means, and how they differentiate from each other. So board of directors, chairman's message, CEO's message, management directors, MD's message, you will get all these things. And then you will find one section which is called MD&A, Management Discussion and Analysis, which is mandatory. And under this Management Discussion and Analysis also you'll find different sections, like the forward-looking statements, which talks about the future of the company, what they are foreseeing about the company. Then your about the transparency, about the macroeconomic situation, about the industry-related information, the company specific, the segment of the business, and then the employee-related information. Everything you will find in the MD&A section. Then comes the governance. What are the compliance and ethics? Nowadays, it is very important. What has come up is the sustainability, or the CSR, corporate social responsibility. You will find a separate report which has now becoming more and more mandatory gradually. I mean, I will talk about that time to time. So those things you will find in the report, and the statutory reports, like the board's report, the governance. There are some kind of mandatory reports, the corporate governance report, the auditors report, the CEOs, all these things are the mandatory reports. Those also you will find. And you will find the financial statements, which is very important. As I said, just look at it. There are three financial statements mentioned above. Financial highlights, financial statements, just let me show you here. See, on the left side there is balance sheet, right side there is a profit and loss statement, statement of changes in equity. I will discuss it later. Here it is statement of cash flows. Okay, so as I say, so these three financial statements are the fundamental financial statements. Based on that, you will have a clear picture about the status, the financial status of the company. So when you will understand the numbers, what is there and what does those signify, you have a clear idea about how the company is performing. Okay, so it is already 11. So now we are, I'm closing here only today's session, and we will meet tomorrow at 9 a.m. Okay?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Just let me download your attendance.
Ma'am, may you share the group?
Yeah, I'm going to share it here only in MS Team. Where is the, yes?
Ma'am, I had applied for the subject for both as a